Yo, what's goody? It's Bear in the building. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Kueen Talk. If you are new here, welcome. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, leave a comment. Let us know what you think of these episodes we got going. You guys, check out the website. I know you see this clean little hat. If you want to pre-order, hit me up. We got a special guest today, a very special guest. Today, our guest is a 50-year-old Black trans man who was born and raised in Topeka, Kansas, whose life work is rooted in resilience and advocacy. He is a founding member and president of the Kansas statewide Transgender Education Project and serves in leadership roles with Equality Kansas, Capital City Equality Center, and Black Trans Man Incorporation. He is also a former Mr. Black Trans Kansas, and his passion is uplifting and protecting trans people of color. Luc Bensimon, welcome. How you doing?
I'm good, and thank you again for having me. Thank you for having me.
Of course. As you guys might see me, I'm out at these shows. I'm out at these events. I'm trying to build the community around me and uplift. When I see a person of color in the building, I'm going to speak to you. There's not very many of us in there, but when I seen you, Luc, I was actually surprised. I did not expect that to be the lineup for the show. I didn't know who was who. Like, I've seen the pictures, but I was like, I don't know these individuals, so I wasn't for sure. So, but I met Luc at a drag show, and you actually do you perform as well, which I did not put that in your introduction.
Since 2006.
2006. Been in the game for a while.
Mm-hmm.
What was drag like in 2006 compared to what it was in 2026?
Oh man, I'm still having a blast, but those years were the best because I was at my peak. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Pageant. I was running for pageants and wasn't realizing that whatever it was that I was doing, I was winning. And technically, my family, my true drag family, is in Wichita because that's where I initially started. They came up here for Wichita invasion, and they are the ones that taught me different little things like how to do my face and the binding and all of that. And so they're my first family. So, and I love them. They're the fiber of my being. Because, my nephew said, come on. And I said, I got you. But yes, I think a majority of my drag career started in Wichita.
Okay.
Between here in Wichita. And as I said, I know a lot of people think that I should go retire somewhere, but music is the way that I seem to express myself and people understand where I'm coming from.
Hey, you was moving out there. I don't think you ready to retire. I don't think you're ready for it yet. Nah, you still got it in you. You was out there getting it. And that's like, I love going to the shows that are so diverse because the song choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is how I go about my tip. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you got the song, if you hit a song I like, you're getting the tip. If you actually lip sing the words right, you definitely getting the tip. Yeah. If your outfit's on point, the tip. I feel like there's criteria. Some people get out there, they don't even know the words. They're just moving their mouth, and the song choice is not it for me. And that's almost like, if those two things, I'm like, yeah, I can't give you this tip right now. Can't do it. I'll give you the clap. I'll give you the free tip, but not the money tip.
And I never get out of my signature. Apparently, is Tank, and so when I was preparing for Silky's show, my kid said, Daddy, are you doing Tank? And I was like, I hadn't planned on it. So that's what happens.
I loved it. And you said since 2006, is that when like you originally really started getting into it, or was it even before then?
I was performing. Oh my God, my kids are going to crack up. I started performing as a diva, actually.
Okay. That's how it started.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Explain that for those that are not sure what a diva is.
So a diva is just like a cisgendered individual who performs as, girl or a boy or whatever. And I had the braids and the nails and the whole nine, and the kids are going to crack up. But they hate it when I say that because I really was an ultra femme. And when I talk about my transition, I tell them I started out as an ultra femme. And then I
Okay.
moved from ultra femme to stud, and then from stud,
Okay.
it was a gradual transition. But I loved performing even then. Music has been a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
My father played jazz saxophone. I didn't
Okay.
find out till he passed away that he actually toured in Japan with the Gap Band.
Okay.
I didn't know that. And I think my mom said he played with Earth, Wind, and Fire temporarily. And so
Nice.
music has been a thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have a hard time expressing my emotions, and I use music. I gotta find that right song. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Um,
I do. I
I have
do.
to find that right song. Um,
Music, I agree with that. Like some people can just like listen to music to just listen to music. But when I like on my playlist, I've gone through it or like it resonates to me in some way. I feel like whenever a song really connects to me, like that's how,
mhm,
and there's not too many I would say that do that for me, but like it does. Like when you hear that song, like oh, I went through a phase of Rod Wave just
mhm,
because his song, like I was in a space in my life and it was just like he's one of the rappers that will literally just like go deep emotional, like really tap into that. And I also just seen what it does for the youth too. Like
mhm.
they're able to express themselves in other ways. Like music can also be harmful. Some of these youngins, what they listening to, I'm just like, yeah, that's why you are acting this way and you're influenced in a certain way that it's not good. But I agree with you. Music resonates.
I think a lot of people think that I'm awkward because I grew up with the NWA is on my wall. So I grew up listening to all different types of music. When NWA came out, I understood about their poetry. I understood that they were telling the world what it was like for them to survive, basically. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I have a rough past. Not an angel by no means. So I know a little bit about that life. And so I was explaining in one of my classes when I was in college, I said, you have to understand it. They're just letting you know through maybe their personal experiences or maybe not at all what they've been through.
Hmm.
I'm partial to Tupac. Why? Because my mom was in the Black Panther Party.
Okay.
Okay. A lot of people have all their theories and whatnot, but they have to read the books and read in between the lines and listen. The government had it out for him when he was in the belly, in his mom's belly, and they had her there, and she was pregnant for 8 months. And
Huh.
Angela Davis had to do a thing in front of the prison because they weren't feeding her.
I haven't done my research on that
Right?
to be
I,
honest.
I just assume people know that. But
Yeah.
Angela Davis had to do a rally in front of the prison or whatever you call it because they weren't feeding her.
Mm.
So he was marked before he came here.
Hmm.
I come from the revolutionary side.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. Your mom was a Black Panther. I know that's right.
I come from a revolutionary side. I have true respect for Martin Luther King. Don't get it twisted. But for me, that it's a revolutionary thing.
Yeah.
A
No.
revolution.
Yeah. Use on that. Let's get to the business. Let's get to it. Yeah. I think that also just brings up like whenever I was like looking into you and stuff, your
Mhm.
focus is on trans people of color. Like you
Absolutely.
really like to focus in on that. Do you feel like that is partially why? Like, why do you think it is like your focus? Of course, you're a trans man of color. So, but
I'm going to say the funny one first and then the serious one. I always bet on black.
I know that's right.
I always bet on black. And I took a liberty when I was in working with children in need of care because I have 2 degrees. I took the liberty of looking into the lives of the African American and Latin American children and what was really going on. And they were treating the world and the system treats them about the same. There
Mm-hmm.
is no difference in the way they treat black and brown, especially the youth and the children, right? And so for me, and again, I'm Gen X. I come out of the 60s, 70s black empowerment
Mm-hmm.
situation. So I always want to make sure that, number one, I'm supporting Black and brown businesses, that I'm looking out for my siblings in the trans community, because they are the ones that are getting killed. They are the ones that are on the trans, when we do, what's the thing called? Trans Day of Remembrance. Look at the posters. Look at the names. They're all Black and brown. It's universal. It's global.
Yeah.
Black and brown. And let me make this clear, because I always get in trouble. But I'm not saying that trans people that are not of color are not getting violence. They're not, killed or whatever. But majority of.
Yeah. Statistically,
Yes,
you see the
absolutely.
numbers. Yeah.
Yes.
And I feel like Black and brown families is also just like hard to accept their family that come out in the community in general. They are not trying to understand transgender and what that life comes with, or they're not trying to understand it at all.
Grew up Pentecostal and Baptist. I want to say that first. Okay. So normally when I say that, people go, "Oh, okay."
Yep.
Kojic. I grew up First God in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And they are strictly about that Bible, flat out, strictly about that Bible. And so when I came out to my mom the first time as a lesbian, we went to Applebee's and we had a little drink or whatever. And she was like, "Oh, I was just waiting on you to tell me." And that was our conversation about it. Coming out to her as trans, we struggled. We struggled. And so we went through a back and forth. We went through late night phone calls of, "What are you doing? Why are you doing? Do you know what you're doing? Do you know what I mean? Why would you do this to me?" So I always tell people this story when they ask, because it was powerful. My mom and I were having a disagreement, total disagreement. And I'm terrified. I was terrified of my mom, but we were having a disagreement. And she was like, "I know that I'm right." I said, "Mom, you're not right. You're wrong. And I'm not. I don't want to talk about it. Right? I know what I'm doing." "No, you don't." "Okay. Okay, Mom. Whatever. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I got this. I'm right." Right?
Mm-hmm.
So before I get out of the car, she says to me, she said, "I know for a fact I have a son, because my daughter wouldn't talk to me like that." I can't explain it to you. It was like a bittersweet thing, but I went upstairs to my apartment just kind of going, "She got it." Do you know what I mean? And
What age were you?
I wasn't trying to get acknowledgement that way. My point was, I was so like, no, you're not right. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you were. You're not. My mom is not the one you tell she's not right. Just throwing that out there. It's important. I just felt so strongly about the situation. I was like, "No, that's not how it works." And she's like, "No."
And how old were you?
I was probably, okay, so I transitioned late. I transitioned at 39.
Is this when you're having the conversation with your mother too? Okay.
We had a very serious, like when I tell you, almost yelling match about a few things. She did not want me to stay here in Kansas for my medical transition. She asked me to leave.
Why was that? Because she didn't want to see you go through it, or for doctor
I
purposes?
was
Or?
watching a couple of other episodes, and you were talking something about the only person of color, and I don't know if you've seen any pictures of me with organizations or whatever, but if you look at those pictures, I'm it. But I know people see the good in me. They see me as a human being, and I appreciate that, and I love that. But at the end of the day, when you look at I found a picture of me and the K-Step crew. I'm the only one, I'm the only trans man in the room, and I'm the only person of color in the room. And that's how it's been for me. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It only got awkward when I started speaking up for acknowledgement.
Mm.
And my mom said, I don't want you to stay here for your medical transition. Go to Atlanta. And I was like, Mom, there's work to be done here.
Mm-hmm.
And the most powerful and profound thing she said to me was, then let someone else do it.
Mm.
And my brain was thinking, where's my revolutionary mom? Where's that person?
Right.
I want
Yeah.
that person. I want that person that would tell me to get out there and fight for the freedom and whatever. I said, what do you mean let someone else do it? She said, I mean, just like it sounds, let someone else do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that that was fear. That was her fear of being a mother, of saying, okay, I have a son now. So, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because we, like I said, we went back and forth and back and forth, and we didn't call each other and we didn't talk to each other. And then she would call me at 4 o'clock in the morning and go, why are you doing this to me? And I'm just like,
You got
so
to
one
explain
night
to him it's
when I,
not
when,
for you.
see, because the next words out of my mouth were, I went to school and got 2 college degrees so that I wouldn't embarrass you and grandma. Everything I've ever done in my whole entire life has been about you and her. Drag. And this transition is about me. So if you decide that you are stepping aside and out of my life, I love you. And I understand and I respect that. But this is about me. Right?
Right.
She got really quiet on me. And then she's just like, okay, whatever you think. And I said, this is not about what I think, Mom. This is what's happening. And believe me, because of the life that I've had, because I've had a hard life, that I was terrified. I have always been terrified of my mother. I don't,
Yeah.
just know I'm a Gen X kid. Trust me, if
Yeah.
I would have said 2 words back to her, no teeth. I'm just saying. So that for me was a bold move for me to just say, hey, you don't have to like it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And one night she called me and she said, she was in tears. My mom is not a crier. If she's crying, she's mad. If that makes any sense.
Yep. That's me.
Myself included. She said, you have to understand that she said, I'm asking you to let me grieve the loss of my daughter so that I can accept the fact that I have a son. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We were on the phone till 7 o'clock that morning, but she was telling me, she had to tell me the whole, how I got here and I was born in her 7th month. So I was weighing 2 pounds, 3.5 ounces. And so she had to go back through that whole story. She was flipping pages in my baby book. And, and so Stephanie Mott, who was my mentor, said, she has to get that out of her system, Luke. You have to let her grieve, because once she gets that out of her system, it's going to be okay. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So her favorite place was Golden Corral, which is closed now, but she said she would take me there and we would talk, just her and I. We just talk. And I said, Mom, I'm your mom. And I spent some time in your body, so I'm not going to be upset at you if you call me the dead name. You gave it to me. She said, and I'm not okay with that, because if I do it, then everybody else is going to think it's okay for them to do it, meaning our family, biological family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, but you're still mom. She said, and I'm telling you that if I do it, everybody else is going to think that it's okay. And I don't want you with that disrespect.
Right. Yeah.
So that was we mellowed out. We mellowed
That's
out.
good.
It
I
was
have
rough though.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. And I feel like you were at a great space in your life to be able to be comfortable with, like, this is who I am. You have to accept it. And I respect you if you don't respect it, but this is who I am. You standing on business. So you were at a point in your life to where you're like, okay, this is me. I'm 100% sure about it. This is what I want to do. And I think it's interesting. Your mom was like, go to Atlanta. And just
Yeah.
because, being a queer person of color, where the Mecca is, where it's at. We know
The
Atlanta. Like, we,
BTAC. Can I tell you? Can I tell you, when I first year there, I walked into the hotel and I was like, oh my God, there's people that look like me. There's people
right.
that have similar stories to me.
Yes.
And like I met, okay, so linked in the drag career, I'm ahead of my own house. I don't know if it's true or not, but I was told I was the very first drag king to hit his own house. I was told that kings don't do that, queens do. I didn't know that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to BTAC, which was in Dallas, and I was talking something to one of the guys, and he said, no, you're competing this year. I said, I know better. I'm not competing. I'm not ready. I don't know what y'all thought this was, but I don't. So
Fear.
he gets on the phone and he calls my drag grandmother. So Desiree DeMornay, Emma DeMornay,
Okay.
drag grandmother. I was adopted by Taya DeMornay. Hey, Auntie, how you doing? I'm good, baby. You know T Rainbow? Yeah, that's my grandbaby. Why would you do that? He said, go over there, get yourself ready so you can compete tonight.
Oh, that night.
Yeah, I was just going to sit back and watch, and then next year, maybe the year after that, stop. And the year after that, just, do my thing. No.
Mm-hmm.
And they let me know, we know who you are. I was like, okay, great. So I'm just going to go out there and do something. I don't know. But they pulled together as a community. BTAC means a lot to me, just in general, because the first year went to the BTAC, I came home, right? I had 15 text messages in my phone and 3 calls. And one of the messages was, I know you've already hit Kansas City. You need to message me and let me know that you're home. I know you're home. I'm just like, I've not ever had that. I've not ever had that. You go to a conference, you go home, it's done.
Not them.
BTAC ain't that. BTAC
Yeah, that's good. Can you remind me, Black Trans
Advocacy
Men
Coalition.
Advocacy Coalition? And how
Yes.
did you get connected with that? Did you just see it on the internet or?
No, I was working with a lady named Paula Kaiser, may she rest in peace, and she sent me an email that said, this is more your speed. And I'm looking at it, right? And it says Black Trans Man. Well, at that time, it was Black Trans Man Inc. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go and see what's going on. And I ended up at their conference. I am technically an old school veteran because I've been with them since it started,
Oh.
since the beginning. So that whole thing, I'm thankful every day to Paula for sending me that email and saying, this is more your speed.
Mm-hmm.
And walking, and again, like I said, it makes me happy. The closer it gets to going to conference, I get excited.
Yeah.
So in April, at the end of April.
It's different. Hey, y'all make sure to check it out. If you're a Black Trans Man interested, Black Trans Man Advocacy Coalition. So yeah, that's awesome. I love when communities come together, like when you can build the community that you're in and you can see yourself within the community. Like I think that's so, it's just something happens. Just like you, like when you seen those people, you went there and you seen majority of the people looked like you. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's a whole different perspective on things, and you just know you're 100% safe in that space when
And I don't
you.
even know how to drive, but I was able to sit with one of my brothers and say, I have been in a car that was pulled over, and I was the only person of color in the car. And while they're talking to the driver, they got their flashlight shined in my face. I'm in the back seat. And I was able to have that conversation with one of my brothers, and they were like, yep, I've been in that situation before too, bro. Understanding that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Understanding the factor that I was terrified. I didn't know what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the individual was speeding. So
I want to ask that. So, as a Black woman, how you're living and the transition that you had to face now living as a Black man, and the different perspectives on life that you have, or you notice people around you, change of habits. Have you had that experience?
So I was at 15. I was in the foster care system. And I thought I was cute because I was going to, run around with the gang boys or whatever. And got involved in some situations. The only way I know how to explain it is this way. One of my cousins said to me, she said, I don't know how I feel about it. And I don't know if I even like it. I don't know. She said, I can't tell you that. She said, but I'm going to tell you this up top. She said, you're not that sad little girl anymore. She said, and remember, I used to tell you all the time that you don't have to fake switching. You're a sister. You already got it naturally. I said, yes. She said, I just felt like you were trying too hard, cuz. You were trying too hard. She said, nah, I'm not even trying to talk about you, but you was trying to live too hard. You said, you little. So I grew up in the part of the breakdancing era. So the little skirts, the little breakdancing skirts with the belts and the little shirts off the shoulder. She said, I just felt like you was trying too hard. They had to be tight. I had to wear my hair up in there around the way, girl, where you slick it up when you take the hot water and you do that. I had to do it. I had to do it the most. And she was like, you don't remember that? I said, I remember it, but I didn't think thought. She said, no. She said, you were doing exactly what you said. You were pretending to be a girl because you were not making it.
Yeah. Do
And
you
that's coming
think
from
that?
somebody that may or may not be accepting. I respect her because she was honest with me. She said,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I like it, love it, or hate it. I don't know. She said, but here's what I see.
Do you feel like that's why you started off as a diva? Like looking
Mhm.
back now, do you feel like I was trying so hard to be this person that I wasn't?
Yeah. Yeah. I was struggling with religion. Again, as I mentioned, I grew up Pentecostal and Baptist.
Yeah, it's a no no.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And during the time of you coming out as transgender, it wasn't a lot of internet. I mean, there was, but not like it is now. The
Right.
social media, TikTok. How are you able to find people that look like you back in the day? I know we talked about the Black Trans Advocacy Coalition, but before that, like, how did you see even trans men? Or like, when was that your first experience that you can remember?
I have, I want to say, 4 sons that I have adopted. They have my last name. And that little one, watch for him because he's next. But when I said, they said, we want you to adopt us. And I said, okay, great. Let's go get the paper. We don't want to do that. We just want to take your name. We want your name. And that was profound to me. And my one son, you can't tell him that I'm not the biological father because he's not listening. Like legit, he will not, he's not trying to hear none of that. Right.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was the profound moment when this family formed itself. My ready-made family, it formed itself. And I tell people that there are people that have come into this family that either are experiencing or was going through when they first came, something that I had been through and conquered.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so they all gathered up and then their family was formed. That's the best thing in the world for me. But I just told somebody when I got in tune with my star player, when I went to therapy and got serious and did the work and didn't let anybody, oh, black people don't go to therapy
Go
lecture.
to therapy.
Do you know what I mean? And so I went to therapy and I said, okay, God, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to get serious about this. I'm going to get serious about this because I don't want to be bitter and angry and I don't want to be holding on to it. And I don't want to be trying to either end my life or whatever was going on. I want it to be better, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be tougher. I wanted to be stronger. My mom kept telling me that when I was going to school. You got to be better, 3 times better. I'm also physically challenged. I don't know if you could tell when I was performing, but I have a mild form of cerebral palsy on my right side.
Okay.
That she used to tell me all the time. That's what you tell you exit out.
Mm-hmm.
And so came in this world with 3 strikes, fighting them. I'm still fighting them because I'm able-bodied and I'm struggling because it's not severe. But I got my boys, I got my girls.
Do you feel like your boys are the ones that gave you that inspiration to be able to be true to yourself? Is that what you feel like,
Right.
or was it
I
even before
do.
then? Yeah.
I do. And I give them credit because they're my boys. And so But I also have to give Stephanie Mott some credit too, because I didn't know the word transgender. I didn't know what it was. I just knew, right, that
Mm-hmm.
there was something going on.
Okay.
And the moment that I became a male impersonator, the first show I did as a drag king, I sat on my couch. I sat on my couch till like from 2 a.m. to 9 o'clock in the morning. And I just sat there because it was comfortable. I don't know how to say the words, but it was comfortable, and I didn't want to take anything off because as kings we bind and we pack or whatever. And I just sit on the couch just because most of the time after a show, everybody's trying to get out of that, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to take it off.
Yeah, you
And
just had to
so,
sit in it.
yeah, I went to Stephanie Mott and I said, I don't know what's going on, right? I don't know what's
Mm-hmm.
going on, but it's something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the therapist had given me an assignment. He said, I want you to go home. I don't care. I need you to stand in front of that mirror and write 5 things that you like about yourself and 5 things that you don't. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I procrastinated for 2 weeks because I didn't like that assignment. And so when I finally did do it, I had all this stuff written down. And on my top of my cons list was, I don't know, me and my chest. I don't know why they're there. I don't like them. And she was like, what does that mean? I don't know. I don't want them. And that's what you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
that's where the conversation with my therapist and I took place.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was, I like this about me. I like this about me. This is why I like this. And this is why I don't like this about me. But on that first one, she was like, tell me about this. And I think it's because she already knew. Right.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't know the word. I didn't know the terminology. I just always felt more masculine than I did anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so like there for a while, you said there was transition periods. You were very high femme, then
Mm-hmm.
you were stud, and then
Mm-hmm.
you transitioned trans men. In your stud era, do you feel like you were overdoing it as well?
So during that period of time, I was living with some roommates, and I was upset because they were like, y'all need to go through y'all stuff and take out what you're not wearing and what you're not doing, whatever. Right. And I guess me and the individual of the house we were not getting along that day. And she was like, I need you to go in there and take out what you're not wearing and do it now, please. Because you got some issues you need to do it. I'm like, talking to girl, not me. Mm-mm. You ain't talking to me like that. So out of anger, I was grabbing and pulling and putting them in the bag. Just grabbing, and pulling. And I was talking a whole bunch of stuff while she she was saying stuff back to me, and I'm just like, I don't care. You don't tell me what to do. You ain't my mom, right? Your name ain't Rosemary. I don't know what you mean. And so at the end of it all, we took all the bags out to the garage. She said, I want you to turn around and look in your closet. And I turned around and looked in my closet, and there was nothing in there but T-shirts and khakis.
Yeah.
And I wasn't paying attention because, remember, I'm mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm in my ghetto girl mood, and I was just like, I don't know who she talking to. She don't talk to me like that. Oh, and what did you say? I don't know. You know, I'm not getting loud. And so at the time, I'm literally I'm grabbing. No joke. I'm not looking. I'm not looking. I'm grabbing and throwing.
Yeah. She just wanted you guys to do like a clean out or something, or was this like
Yeah,
the
it was a whole. Everybody in the house did it, and then she came and stood with her arms folded in the doorway of my room, and she said, "You need to turn around and look at your closet." And I turned and I looked and I went, there's nothing in there but khakis and T-shirts. She said, I don't think you ever really been a girly girl, though. And that's how
yeah.
it started. That's how the stud situation happened.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. I think like when we talk about like your generation of just like what a stud is supposed to be and look like, I feel like it was very masculine. Like there was no, you couldn't be even feminine. There was like certain things. It was like a touch me not. I'm not doing certain things. I don't do my nails. I'm not able to express that at all.
Right. So my first role, when I first went to Kansas City, Missouri, and I don't even remember the name of the bar that I was at. I was still in my ultra femme phase. And I walk in and oh my goodness. I'm like, what is going on here? Right? And so, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So I got these girls that are looking like H-Town up in there, and they got the Timbos and the glasses and the braids. And I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on? And so my brain was like, huh. You know what I mean? And they were soft studs. So let me track back. My mom said this to me. We get into binary. She said, when I was coming up, you were either butch or femme. There was no in between. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, I feel like now the older queers are realizing, or I don't think they're adjusting well. Like the ones that I see like on my social media, they're still who they are. Like they're stuck in their ways of like feeling like that. Like, okay, this is how we're raised. I feel like some of them even get irritated that we are screaming, hey, it's okay to be queer, or just like screaming your transition on social media and showing the transition and being open about it. I feel like they're irritated because it was like when it was quiet, they feel like everything was okay. When it really wasn't, it's just now we're just like that revolutionary side. It's just like, this is a different generation that we're not just going to be in the rooms. We're going to speak up in the rooms. We're going to be the head of the room. We are going to make it known. This is our identity and this is how I express. It's not one way or another way. Like, there can be a middle ground. I can identify as a stud while still being okay with being feminine. Like it's okay. And do you feel like you're battling that within yourself, or you had to battle that within yourself during your transition or your queerness, or how do you feel like you navigated that?
In the beginning, yes. I was explaining to a lady I'm working with her because her kid just came out to her as non-binary, and I'm working with her because she has no clue of how to support. So we're kind of sharing stories back and forth. And I said, I, in the beginning, didn't know where I was, right? Mm-hmm. I was dating women exclusively. That's what I was doing. That's where I was at. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I went to BTAC. And I got some brothers down there that they're my siblings. I love them. They're my being, but woo! That's when I realized I'm attracted to other trans men. I didn't know that before. Yeah. I was exclusively women. I was like, okay, yay. And then I went to BTAC and my whole frame of mind went, oh, I didn't know that. So I tell people I'm tan. So, but in the early years, I was where I was at. Mm-hmm. Things kind of evolved and changed for me. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That's just, I'm good with it now. In the early years, I was like, no, that ain't me. I'm not going to do that. But where I am now, I'm sure of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you yourself like even have biases of you thinking that way? Like of just like what society has trained us to see like with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I never ever told my mom that I was pan because I knew what she was going to say. And I don't want to hear it. Right? And then the whole poly over the top of it. I didn't want to hear it. Because I knew what she was going to say. I knew what she was going to say. Love her every fiber of my being, but I knew what she was going to say. And so I didn't tell her that part of it. I just said, I look at people's hearts and their personalities or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to do that myself too. Just like I was saying earlier, just like what a stud they say is versa fit and that. And like it's been the past few years that I've really tapped into like my femininity and really just been like okay with it. And just like in my soft girl era, you know what I mean? Just like it's okay to be soft. Like, of course, I'm bear. I can be a teddy bear, but I can be a grizzly bear too. You know what I mean? Like, don't
You
get it
said that on
twisted.
another of your episodes. Yeah, I was watching. I was watching.
Yeah, like that's just me. It's either way. My dog just back here doing some things. Bentley,
Mm-hmm.
my co-host, knocking things down. But yeah, I always just tell people that like that is who I am, and I feel like it's forever, we're ever evolving, forever evolving. Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to be this one way of things. Like we grow up. This social media is like expanding too. Like you were able to actually go to a convention and like really see people. Like my first experience, I was actually went to Atlanta for
Mm-hmm.
I was visiting my family, and my mom and my sister and we went to a gay club. And when I went in there, of course, like when you go to a gay club, it's all men, but it
Mm-hmm.
was just the fact that I was seeing all types of men in the
Mm-hmm.
gay club. Like back in Kansas, that dude's still in the closet. That's when I
Right.
was like, all y'all niggas is gay. All
Yep.
y'all is
Yep.
gay. Like
Absolutely.
you guys just mask it and you haven't been comfortable. Like no one's ever made you comfortable enough to be like, okay, I'm gay. But I'm just like, because you all like, I had the biases in my head too before going there of just like what a gay person looks like. Oh, you have these traits. That's not the case. That is not
Right.
the case.
And so there used to be when it was tool shed, not skivvies quite yet, but there used to be an individual, not a lot, would just come in to the bar, have a little drink, maybe talk to a couple people, and then leave. So my my first up close situation went non-binary, full face of makeup, and it was done perfect. Purse, nice pair of jeans, and a blouse and stilettos. Okay, I'm a sucker for stilettos. I mean, very classy, very well spoken. You know what I mean? And someone was drunk and had to say some stuff. And it was, you go to work like that? He was like, yes, I do. I do go to work because the only thing they care about is me doing my job.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess the person was being whatever, but they handled themselves very well and answered it very classy. Nails. Right. And so my mom and I had the conversation because she was trying to struggle with the they, them. And so she said, but I want to make this plain too. Non-binary is not new. I grew up on Sylvester, grew up on Boy George. I performed Jermaine Stewart's We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off. And so those individuals to me, non-binary.
Yeah. We've always existed. The queer people have always existed. Like I said, it just hasn't been like screamed out, like
Right.
all in, like being open with it. I think it took me a while to even feel like okay to be PDA in public. I mean, just like holding hands and
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
being close with my partner, just because like I didn't feel comfortable yet. Like I'm just like, okay, we shouldn't show that off. Like that's not something you show that
Right.
off. Like, but I'm like, straight people doing it all the time. Like it's not a thing that is not done between couples. It's just like I didn't feel comfortable. And I think that was like some years after I had come out that I was like, okay, I would say like in my mid 20s is when I was like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna hold my partner's hand in public. Like it's okay. I'm gonna kiss my partner in public. Like
Yeah.
y'all doing it, it's okay. And I've always dressed masculine to work. Like I feel
Yeah.
like that ain't no thing. And you mentioned church. That was one time like I still always wore skirts and stuff to church. So this one
Mm-hmm.
time I switched it up and I wore pants. And I'll never forget the first lady said, women don't wear pants to church. And I'm just like, I looked at my grandma and my grandma just like, it was kind of like she looked down like she was like kind of like shameful, like the first lady is coming to us and me saying
Mm-hmm.
that. And because my grandma was like very involved in the church. But afterwards, my grandma, she was just like, I'm proud that you came to church. It doesn't matter. Like you come to church, and that felt good for her to have like that conversation with me afterwards. And now, there's of course women are wearing pants to church and stuff like that. But I just feel like that Kojic, that old school, like
that Church of God in Christ is not a joke. They're
it's different.
They do not. And I ran into one of the individuals I used to go to church with, and I got the look. I got the I know better look.
Yeah.
That used to bother me. It doesn't anymore. It did used to bother me, but it does not bother me anymore.
Hey, it don't bother me too. I went to church just last year with my grandma, the same church. She grew up the same church. Her dad was the deacon of this church. So it's my grandma's church. So I went there, and it's a new pastor. And the service, the message is about queer people. And the whole time he's just condemning them, and then he looks at me and says, you're blessed, young woman. Because I dressed very masculine when I went to the church. And I said, you're right. I know I am. I said, thank you. I am very blessed. And that was my way of telling him, yes. And no matter what you just set up here and said for the last 35 minutes, and I sat here and I should have walked out. I didn't. I stayed there because, doing things for your family. My grandmama, I stayed there for grandma. And I said, yes, you are very much right. I am blessed. And I told my grandma after that, I was like, I'm never going to that church again. Never going to that church again.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, I'm done.
And then she had the nerve to tell me, yeah, he's been talking about that the last 3 weeks. And I didn't even ask her. I said, Grandma, I wasn't even going to ask her, but I thought, Grandma, were you trying to set me up? Or did you think, okay, he wasn't going to talk about that this week because he talked about it 3 weeks in a row? So, but she still asked me to go to that church. She's like, still asking me to make donations to that church. I'm not even going to call it a church. I'm not making any donations to that cult. Like, I'm going to say it for what it is right now. I'm not making any donations to that cult because that person, I got a Pastor Mike Jr. I go to church online. I haven't personally been able to be comfortable to go in church in person just because that was my last experience. And that's what happens. Yeah. I would love to find a church in person, but being raised in Kojic, I feel like it's just, I'm looking for that feel in a church. And it's kind of hard to find that doesn't want to condemn me for being who I am.
There's one in Atlanta, I do believe.
Of course.
If you watched the series on Tubi called Trans World.
Okay. I have not.
So I watched it because I know them. So,
cool.
A majority of let me put it to you this way. The cast is BTAC. Let me just put it that way. The cast is BTAC. And so I had to watch it because I know them.
Right.
We partied together or whatever. And so I was watching it and they were showing the people in the cast going to church. And it was a Pentecostal church that was very open and accepting because I think the pastor's like, he had a husband, he was gay. And so I was like, I want to go to church like that because they were Holy Ghost filled. It was just, you know what I mean? It was amazing to me just to see that and see them being accepting. So if I could find I know why Mom wanted me to go to Atlanta. She just wanted me to.
We know why. What?
I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your faith look like now before I go to my next question about that?
I was taught a long time ago by my grandmother that God speaks all languages, including hood. So she said that. And this is coming from a woman who never drank, smoked, or anything. She's been a Christian her whole entire life. But she told me, she said, God speaks all languages, including hood. So to him, whenever you feel you need to talk to him. And I've been in some situations in my life where it's like, okay, God, whatever, I'm not doing that. And so, I mean, my prayers, I'm going through I'm a homeowner. And so I'm trying to get things fixed. Thank you. I'm trying to get things fixed and up to code. And I did the thing because I got tired of being told I was too young because you have to be 55 or older to get doing stuff. I'm just turned 54. So, and nobody believes me. And so, I'm waiting on the Lord because I really don't want to move out of my home. And everybody's going, oh, you just need to chalk everything up and sell the trailer as is. No. I don't like it. I don't. This is my home. I have memories here. I've got
Yeah,
grandbabies that took their first steps here.
yeah. It's
You know what I mean?
ownership. Ownership.
Yeah. And I can't tell you, my mom was, she passed in 2020. But when I told her that I own this trailer, she just cried because that's what she wanted. That's what she was seeing for me.
Yeah.
And she said, "I'm so proud of you. Couldn't come in here because I used to have cats, and she's allergic."
You're a cat person.
I was. This one behind me changed my life. She's
Yeah.
my first dog that I've ever owned, and
Really?
yep, yep,
I,
because I
s-
was in the side cats are more independent, and that's where I was working with. Dogs are different, but I might be a dog person.
yeah, I say that like I've owned dogs all my life. I'm not even a dog person. I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm not even a dog person. I'm not an animal person. I tell people I'm a
Right.
Bentley person. I like
Hmm.
my dog. If I go to your house just because I got a dog, don't mean I want your dog. I don't want your dog all over
Right.
me.
Right. And I needed to get something small that I could handle. I'm not against big dogs.
Your cat person.
I'm not against big dogs, but for me and my mobility,
Mm,
right? My son had this great dog. It was a American Pit, and it would get excited when it saw me and just jump up and put his paws on my shoulders. I'm just like, okay, I don't want a big dog, right? And so my son came in one night. He was coming in the house backwards. And then he says, "Close your eyes, close your eyes." And I closed my eyes, and they put her in my arms, and that was pretty much it. That
yeah.
was pretty much it.
Well, I'm glad you upgraded. I mean, I don't like them cats, but to each their own. To each their own.
When the last cat died, I said, "That's it. I don't think I should get any more."
Yeah.
And I said I was really trying to find a small service dog, which I'm gonna have her trained. Yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, because there was a lady I met at a Democratic thing, and her dog was in between her legs or whatever, sleeping. And I sat down next to her. Her dog got up out of a deep sleep, came and sat in front of in between my feet. And she said, "I don't want to be in your business or nothing." She said, "But do you happen to be diabetic?" And I said, "I am." She said, "You need to check your sugar." I was like, "Okay, whatever." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, my sugar was dropping.
Oh,
And she said, "You need to invest in getting a small dog and have it trained so that it will know when your sugar is dropping or whatever you need." She's already on it. She's not been trained, but when my sugar drops, she's here.
oh,
Like she will not, I can't do this. I can't do that. She's here. And
oh,
until she sees me check it and do the thing, the
yeah,
meter and everything, she won't leave me alone. She'll follow me all over this house until I fix it. And so
yeah.
I know that she's picked up on that, which is
Well,
something that I need.
we've been talking about Atlanta and
Mhm.
advocacy. Your mother said go to Atlanta. Of course, we know Atlanta is just like if we wanted to be around queer people of color, that's where we
Mhm.
go. Like if we
Mhm.
just want to jump right in, that's where we go. And I'm gonna ask, like, why did you choose to stay here in Kansas and do advocacy work instead of going to Atlanta and doing continuing to do advocacy work there?
Because my mother raised me to deal with things head on, and I am not a runner. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, people have been messaging me, calling me, going, "Don't you think it's time for you to go now? Don't you think it's time for you to go now?" Because everybody knows what's going on here.
Yeah. And if you
Right.
don't know, a law just passed and that is against transgender individuals when it comes to ID markers, when it comes to the restroom. So it is a big change, like dramatically.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I'm a revolutionary. And I don't know if you've ever seen the Josephine Baker story, but there's a part in there where they were evicting her, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But she just locked herself up in that big old house by herself, and they came in through the windows, and she was just sitting there. She was not moving. She was like, "This is my house. I'm not moving." And they were trying to explain to her, "No, you owe back taxes. You owe," you know what I mean? She didn't care. She was just sitting there. And she sat on the porch because they picked her up and moved her out. But she planted her feet. And where I'm at this point with this whole situation, I'm planting my feet. I'm planting my feet because my mother made a point to me. She said, okay, I get it, kid. You know, I get it. She said, but you don't tell people about your cerebral palsy like you tell people about your being trans. And I was like, oh, I don't want to have this discussion with you. She said, no, I'm serious. She said, do you tell people that you are disabled just like you tell people you're trans? She said, because that's part of you.
Mm-hmm.
She said, that's part of you. And so I'm a fighter. I want to see change.
Mm-hmm.
Am I exhausted? Yes, I'm exhausted. And I would be lying if I said there's not an inch of fear in there somewhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because let me tell you something. I don't know. BTAC, no. They've been messaging me, giving me encouraging messages saying, hey, we're here if you need us.
Mm-hmm.
They know what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I want to see the change. I don't know what you found out when you search me. I don't Google myself. But the first thing we could change our gender markers on the birth certificate. Myself and another one of my colleagues from BTAC were on that plaintiffs for that case.
Mm-hmm.
Because Stephanie Mott was the first person to sue. She lost her case. And then right after that, Lambda Legal came here to Topeka from New York. And we won that case. That was the case that I was on. And then there was another one not too long ago. That case, we won that one. And apparently this one, we're going to have to fight some more.
Yeah.
So I stayed. I told her that there was work that needed to be done. And people are telling me now, why did you not just leave? Topeka has enough advocates. You could have just left. I get it. I get it. But I was taught, don't run. I got to face this.
Yeah.
And it sucks. I'm not going to lie to you, but I got to face this.
Yeah, it is. Like, especially now, like there's a lot of changes that you're having to make. So it is like, yeah, just go to a different state who has everything in order and you know your rights are protected and it's not going anywhere. But there is still trans people living in Kansas. Like it's not going to go away. And I feel that in a sense of just like this in general of just like, why didn't I go to Atlanta as well and go to where it's all already there and just find community and you just
people always ask me, do I like Kansas? I really don't.
Yep, I
don't. People used to ask me, why you stayed in? That's where my parents had sex. I don't know.
That's where I was born, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, and I always tell people I can't control that. So I really don't like Kansas. There's just things about Kansas that I do not like. And a lot of my cousins, they were like, we're not staying, we're leaving. You can stay, but we're not staying, we're leaving. Do you know what I mean? And so I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas is a tough place to I can't say that. Some people, Kansas is a place where they can come and they can raise the children and have a big old family, and that's great. But my mom said this best. She said there are no opportunities for people of color in Kansas.
Yeah, but that's why we create our own. Like with Kueen Talk, there's a lot of podcasts that are like Kueen Talk based out of Atlanta. But how many are in Kansas?
You.
Like there's a lot of Black trans men in Kansas. But when you go to these shows and you go in their spaces, there's only a few. I feel like, and until I started doing this platform, I start seeing more individuals that are queer people of color who want community and want to have a space for queer people of color. And I feel like it is, you can create, like, it's a place, Kansas, how I have seen it and been okay with being here and living my life is because what I'm doing, it's creating something that hasn't been created before. And I'm
Absolutely.
building a community who's already here, but we're just not together yet. Like,
Right.
there's still so many of us out here, and I'm seeing us in these pockets and these white spaces, but we're not together. And I'm just like, but that can be done here. And you're not going to run us out. Like, I feel
Right.
like
Right.
they try to run us out sometimes by not playing our music in these clubs, or they don't want our people in these clubs. Like, they do it intentionally because they have a specific demographic that they're trying to hit, which, to each your own. Like, it's your
Right.
business. You can run it how you want to. At the
Yeah.
same time, don't get mad at me because this platform is for people of color, because you're not doing enough for it. If you're going to do the work, you have to be intentional. You had to be intentional by going to that convention with Black trans individuals. You have to be intentional when you're focusing on trans people of color. And a lot of people aren't willing to be intentional. They'll do it for an event and then they'll just go back to their way. They'll do it for a moment and just go back to their way. And there's only a few of us around here who are continuously doing the work for queer people of color. And if we run, I don't know who's going to fill these shoes, who's going to step up and do this. Like, who is going to be willing to be on the front lines? Because it is scary. Like, I'm not going to sit here and hold you either.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I feel you when you
Absolutely.
say it's fearful.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people, I have had people come to me and say, there's no need for you to be a part of Black Trans Advocacy Coalition. Okay, not listening. Do you know what I mean? I've
Yeah.
literally said, what is the purpose? Why are they existing? And I'm thinking to myself, in the beginning, when I was trying to get into support groups for trans men, I was the only person of color. And they would come to me and go, we really don't know. We appreciate you supporting us, but we don't know how we can support you because we don't know what it's like to be a Black trans man.
Mm-hmm.
BTAC is teaching me and continues to teach me how to educate non-people of color what it's like to be a trans person of color. Because there are some differences. It is not the same. It is not the same. Can we have a unity? Yes. But for me, it's not the same as it is for my Caucasian counterparts. It's not the same.
Right.
It's not the same. And Stephanie Mott used to tell me all the time, Luke, I'm a privileged white woman. I don't know anything. And I'm just like, oh, okay, that's how that works. All right. When she passed, it felt like that all the people and all the connections that she had linked me up with scattered.
Mm-hmm.
I had to maneuver by myself, but I also have to advocate for myself too.
Mm-hmm.
Thankful to my mom for teaching me that. But it's just, I get all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
The best part was I was at a rally some years ago or whatever, and the lady was like, I really think it's great that you support the trans community, and it's great that you're an ally, blah, blah, blah. Said, no, I'm not an ally. I'm part of the community. She said, no, you're not. I was like, okay. So I had to think about how to take this, right? So I heard Paula Kaiser in my head say, sometimes people, you got to think about, are they bashing you or are they giving you a compliment? I said, I greatly appreciate the compliment. Thank you for acknowledging that I passed, but I'm not an ally. I'm a member of the community. She still wasn't buying it. But if that would have been me the beginning years of my transition, oh yeah, he would have got
it. Yeah. It
But
is.
I had that rage. I had that rage that somebody would call me ma'am and I would look at him and she'd be like, oops, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Or go to a restaurant with my friend. What can I get you ladies? I'm like, seriously? And then they wouldn't turn and look at me. That was the irritating part. They wouldn't turn, they would just keep writing on their pad. And then when they finally did look up and then look at me and see they were like, oh.
Yeah, it's like a lot of awkward moments in those white spaces too. If you're on board meetings or anything, it is me. I used to sit in the room and not say anything. I didn't always have this personality in me to feel comfortable with like speaking up in a room.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was fully okay in my identity and in my purpose in life. And it was in those moments that I'm sitting there in these rooms and I start speaking up that I realize, oh, they don't want you to speak up. They really don't want you. They just want you there to hold space to show, oh, we have a person of color on this board. And that's when I was just like, I can't be in this space and not have my voice heard. Like it's not me. That's not who I am. And I'm going to have to leave this situation and go about my merry way, because you're finna sit here and play in my face like that. Like there's so many of you and only one of me. Like I can't be the voice for all of us in the first place. Like I know myself and my experiences and how I want things, but I can't, you guys need to be more diverse. And that's when it goes back to the intentionality. They're not intentional. Their version of diversity is having women on the board. Their version of diversity is completely different than what my version of diversity looks like. And so having people like us stay in Kansas, it's to be those advocates for people that we know are still fearful to speak up for themselves. We've come to a good place in our life to where we're okay with living in a little bit of fear, but still knowing the mission is way bigger than what we see. Like it's so much bigger than us.
Oh no, I have the strength, having that strength. And like I said, I have a degree in human services and youth and children emphasis, and I used to go to talk to the young ladies and youth at risk and talk to them about, them being in their teens and going through domestic violence and so on and so forth. And I would tell them, no, I was pretty tough. My mom made me tough on purpose because she knew how the world was going to treat me because of disability. We didn't know I was going to be here. Do you know what I mean? And so she made me tough. I watched her go through. And she was a fighter. Like, I've worked with women that have been in domestic violence situations, and they're just like, okay, no, not my mom. She is a fighter. She fought all the way down, right? So I was telling somebody the other night that there was a woman that I was dating. She was a stud. And before I got here, and I don't know what I said. I think I smarted off to her or something like that. And the next thing I know, I'm picking myself up on the floor. And I got up and shook it off and stood back up. And she said, no, when I knock you down, you stay down. Wrong one. And listen, my head was spinning. I'm not going to lie to you. I had bruises and everything. And she's bigger than, like, buff. She's not, you know what I mean? She was buff. I was probably about maybe 105, maybe. And when she it was nothing for her to just pick me up and throw me. And I would just get up and shake it off. She'd be like, you're supposed to stay down. Not this one. Because my mom would always say, make sure you get up quickly, because you don't know whether she's going to pick up a weapon, or at that time she was saying, you don't know if he's going to pick up a weapon or what's going to happen. Just get up quickly, right? So I've taken some hits in my life, but that's how I deal with this whole situation. They're going to knock down, and I'm going to shake it off and get back up. I should have told you the story. My mom didn't go to therapy until she was 62 years old.
Oh, wow.
She got a wonderful therapist. And so you'll see why when I tell you. So my mom's talking about me. my upbringing, how she raised me, blah, 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 right? Therapist says to her, what do you mean you don't accept that you have a son? She said, because that's exactly how you raised him. Came into this world assigned female at birth, and there was no crying, no emotions allowed. She said, you just sat here and admitted that you made her tough on purpose, but you don't understand, because she raised me like raised a boy. If you look on my life, it's like a black male comes up, all the way from the gang situations and all of that. That was masculine, all of it. All of it.
Yeah.
And so when her therapist said, I don't understand why you don't understand. And my mom did the whole, you don't know what you're talking about. Can't tell me how to raise my kid. Da, da, da. She said, yeah, but you came in here saying that you didn't understand why he came out to you as trans. She said, and I've listened to you talk about how you raised your child, and you raised him like you would raise a boy, but you don't understand why he's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she made it very plain. She said, you can say what you want to about me. You can call me the book psychiatrist, the book psychologist. She said, but I know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? And so my mom called me. She said, I don't like her. I said, I know you don't. I know you don't. I said, but is she wrong? She said, no. I said, okay, so you made me tough, but you made me tough in the aspect of how you would raise a man. Just saying.
Yeah. I just have to point out the fact that you made an analogy with you getting domestic violence. And I don't think it would be right if I just surpassed that. I'm glad you got out of that relationship.
Here's all I'm gonna say about that situation. My grandma had gotten into a situation, and she used to live in Valley Falls, so she had to come here. My mom's calling me on the phone, just calling me on the phone, and I can't answer because the girls got me pinned on the floor. She wouldn't let me get up. And I said, I need to get up. Something's wrong with my grandma. Can't say the other word, but she said, that's some female you had call here and say she's your mom. And she wouldn't let me up.
Yeah.
So the next morning at 8 o'clock, my mama called. Hey, Mom. She said, I don't want to talk to you. Put her on the phone.
Oh.
Okay, let's try this again. Hey, Mom. She said, I said, I don't want to talk to you. Put her on the phone. Okay, great. Here you go. Because she wanted me to go get showered and dressed and whatever. And all I heard was, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll have her. I'll have her there. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So we get there. I'm getting out of the car because I want to hug her because mom and whatever. Grandma. I call my grandma mom sometimes because she raised me pretty much. She said, no, go in there and tell the lady who you are. Go see your grandma. And I was worried because my mom does not eat candy, especially a blow pop with gum in the middle. That's what she was eating because she's an ex-heroin addict, and that's what they do. It's sugar content, and she was not okay.
Yeah. I also just feel like that's a situation that I don't think gets talked about a lot within the queer couples, of just like the domestic violence that can happen, whether, you're two women. Of course, you're two women. Like, I'm gonna fight you, or two men. Of course, I'm gonna fight you. Like, and I thank God have never been in a relationship like that, but they just chalk it up to like, okay, we're both females or we're both males, and
Even when one of them ends up dead. I don't know what you read, but there was a black trans guy a few months ago that got killed by his partner, and he just...
No, I did see that actually, and it wasn't. I think it was like a Tesla car that was able to help like identify some of the story and everything with that. But yeah, I don't think it gets talked about a lot enough when it comes to those situations. So like I said, I'm glad you your mama handled that and
Yeah,
got
she
that
handled
right.
it.
Got that right. And if you're in
If
a
it tells you
relationship right now that's like that, y'all need to go see a therapist. Y'all need to see it out of the relationship. That is not normal. That is very
it's not.
toxic.
It's not. It's
And it is domestic violence, whether you
it
are in
is.
a same sex relationship or not. It is domestic violence.
Absolutely. And I wish that there was more to protect
Hmm.
same sex couples because you gave us the right to be married. Okay, great. That happens too. We need to have a little bit more understanding in that area. And like, I'm a criminal justice major.
Yeah.
I'm a criminal justice major. I had my internship at a women's prison. Never again.
They say those are the worst. Women's prisons are the worst, they say.
Listen, a distant cousin of mine was out there, and she, as I was going in for orientation, she was coming out. She said, "You can have that. I'm gonna go work it, man." I was like, "But you're not training me." She said, "No, no, no, I'm not. You're okay. You're fine." She went to Leavenworth. She ended up at Leavenworth, and so I don't want to be. You know what I mean? It wasn't. First of all, in order to work in that situation, you have to do the physical agility, and so cerebral palsy automatically
Mm.
shuts me out. And so I went to child in need of care for a while. I got too attached to the kids, so I had to step back. And some parents were really irritating me, and so stepped back. But I wish that, like I said, there was more resources. There was more resources for same-sex couples that need space or something.
Yeah.
I know we need a shelter here too.
Yeah, there's a lot of resources that are still needed for the queer population just in general. I know like when it comes to like the foster care system, a lot of kids just like getting kicked
Mhm.
out and of their families and stuff. And that's I would love to open a home like eventually. Like it's one of my goals and my on my list to be able to do that for the queer youth and have that space
Mhm.
and just a whole setup, and it's just like a
Have
vibe in
you
there.
heard of Braided Haven here in Topeka?
Is that a youth home?
So it's it's sort of kind of that. Actually, one of my drag children and her wife are part of it, and they've been doing amazing with it. I think that they may or may not still be looking for. I'll have to send you the link to them because it's an amazing program. Because
Yeah,
it would be great if we could just get, you know what I mean, something.
yeah.
Because there's a lot of kids that get kicked out, and now they're being put on the streets because.
Hmm. You've mentioned your cerebral palsy a few times, like in situations of growing up. But I do just like want to know, just you say three strikes
Mhm.
and against you. How did your experiences shape the person that you are today when it comes to that activist in you? I know you mentioned like you don't speak on it a lot, but maybe we just don't know that you speak on it. Like, what does that look like?
So I tell people that I have been an adult all my life here. Okay, because my mom, I was very independent. Trust me, latchkey kid, if that makes any sense. And she would tell me, she said, "You were assigned female." Well, she didn't say assigned female birth. She said, "You came in the world female. You came here with a disability, and you are African American." She said, "You struck out, kid." And so she would explain it to me. All your life, you're going to fight each one of those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "You have to be strong because they're going to come at you as they come at you." I used to wear a Forrest Gump brace, was younger, and I mean the steel one with the ugly shoes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were going to a Pentecostal church, so I was wearing the skirt, and you could see the brace. I got kicked in the left leg because it was my strong side a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be tough. My mom was that mom that if somebody came after me, like the people in the course did not like this, but I was run home one day by some boys. They ran me all the way home and took some stuff from me.
Mm-hmm.
I walk up on the porch. My mom flipped the lock on the screen door. She said, "Don't, you're not coming in here. Go get your stuff." And I'm standing there because I just want to get in the house.
Yeah.
I won't fool with them. She said, "No, no, go back over there." So by the time I got around the corner, she'd already called. So the boy had his sister out there. And my mom said, "Don't come back here without your stuff."
Yeah.
I'm just like, hey, all right. She did things like that. And a lot of people didn't like that about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Her methods.
Yeah.
But for me now, I know, even with the domestic stuff that I've been through, I knew I had to fight because
Yeah. Who else is going to do it for you? You are the number one advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
It was a tough message. Like hearing it, I'm just like, yeah. But like when you see the message behind it, you do see like why she's trying to teach you to fight and stand up for yourself.
I do. And a lot of people accuse me of having what's that word? The trauma bonding thing with her, because I would say, no, you don't understand. She was trying to make sure that if something happened to her, I can make it out here. Because I didn't start here. I started in the streets. That's where I started.
Yeah.
I started in the streets, and she was like, no, nobody's going to care about how you got cerebral palsy. They're just going to kick you in your shins and punch you in your chest, and you're going to have to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So when I became an advocate for everything that I stand for, I had to, again, plant my feet. I had to plant my feet. I'm working on an autobiography, and I'm talking about different things, about how there are certain points in my life where I didn't have a choice. My mobility is not my mobility and my balance, but there are situations in my life where I literally had to plant my feet physically and go, okay, God, please just hold me up while I'm going through this. So I don't like the methods that she used. And I've said this before. I don't like the methods that mom used, but she used what she knew. Right? She made me tough. That's how I'm able to just be like, because I know people are writing me messages and going, you know, they coming. Well, tell them to come on because I got stuff to do. And I can appreciate it now. When you're young, you're just like, what is going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can appreciate it now and understand why she taught me everything. Everything. She said, you're going to have to fight. So either you're going to be out here in the streets hustling, because she taught me that too, just in case school didn't work out. She said, you're going to make it. You're going to make it either here or there or wherever, but you're going to make it. And so when I'm doing the work that I do, I feel like sometimes it's not enough, but I'm doing the best that I know how to do.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, civil disobedience. If I end up in jail, nobody's coming to get me. I wrote about this. There's a chapter in my book, and I'll probably send you a link to it, but there's a chapter in my book called Non-Existent. I'm an only child. I don't have any siblings. It's just me. And I spent a lot of time alone, latchkey kid. Mom worked 3 jobs because she didn't want to do the whole welfare thing. So for me, I had to figure some things out.
Yeah.
I had to figure some things out. I don't know how I figured a lot of stuff out, but I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Again, it's that whole planting your feet. And that's tough. And that's what I'm doing currently with this current situation. I'm planting my feet. Because everybody's like, oh, did you get your letter? Blah, blah, blah. Not yet, but I know it's coming.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that I might lose my house. I'm afraid that I might get lost somewhere.
Yeah. And I want to say, like, you're not alone, though. Like, I feel like you've created the community. You have created your own found family. You have support around you with the BTEC. I think it can be so discouraging when this happened right now. Like, I'm not taking that away. Like, it is very discouraging. But I know I'm making the calls of my legislators. I know there's
Yeah.
other people making calls to their legislators. We're pushing the message out on social media. Like, there's people here that have your back, and we're fighting with you. Like I'm standing there with you. We in the
Yeah.
revolutionary together. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I feel like once they come for one, they coming for all. Like, it ain't gonna
Yeah.
stop. Like, we have to stand up for one another, and we have to understand we are in this fight together. Like, they are coming for
Yeah.
all of us.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't know. My friend was going on and on. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's not a big deal. I said, okay.
Mm,
I said, the very first time that I told you I was trans and you outed me to somebody, what did I do? She said, you cussed me out. I said, I sure did, because that was not something you needed to do. I said, well, they just made it so that anybody who was stealth, they're out now.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that hurts me to my soul, because why do they want to know these things?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you saw the article that, oh, someone sent it to me, that it said that Topeka PD was going to be enforcing
Mm-hmm.
the bathroom and the ID thing.
Yeah.
That scares me. That's the part that scares me. How are they enforcing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And I've shared some stuff on my social media page, and just like the legal actions and like where the bathroom situation is actually like enforced, like in the government buildings and stuff like that, versus regular businesses and things. But
Mhm.
even the regular businesses, someone can still call on you and do things. So it is a very scary time. Like we mentioned before in this podcast, you're passing,
Mhm.
you walk into the ladies' restroom, I know I already get the
I'm thinking,
looks. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, what's the point? Like, it's just like, this isn't about women's rights. They're not trying to protect women. This isn't
nope.
a protect woman thing. This is
Mm-mm.
just to hold power.
There's a cute story. When I first started getting my peach fuzz or whatever, I used to go with one of my friends, and we used to work out 3 times a week. And not thinking, I went into the women's bathroom. Little girl looks at her mom and goes, "It's a boy." She said, "No, baby, this is the girls' bathroom." She said, "Me, it's a boy." Right?
Yeah,
So I'm thinking, oh God.
them
And
kids,
so
them kids don't be lying.
and so I do my thing real quick, and I'm washing my hands, and the woman looks up at me and she says, "I told you there was a boy in here, mommy. I told you there's a boy in here." And the mom gave me a look, and I was like, I wasn't even paying attention. I just had to go to the bathroom. My bad, my bad. And
Yeah,
the little girl cracked me up because she was like, it was just like, oh my God.
yeah, yeah. So it is gonna be a lot, but I feel like with the advocates and people like they're already suing. I feel like I don't want to lose hope. Like, and
Oh no.
I think that there's a lot more work that needs to be done, and there's still people fighting
Absolutely.
fighting for the work. And like I said, that's why we staying in Kansas to fight for the work.
Yeah. I mean, I could have easily, I mean, my mom is that type of person. She's very pushy, very aggressive. And she was like, listen, I'll pay for the U-Haul, and you can just, I'll put stuff in storage, whatever for you, and you can just go. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there's moments, I'm not gonna lie to you, there's moments where I go, just,
Mm-hmm.
you could have just went, but me being the advocate that I am, you know what I mean? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what's gonna happen in the near future. I I'm very scared for the youth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm very scared for the youth. I'm very scared for them getting very, very depressed and not wanting to be here. And I'm grown. I do what I do.
Yeah.
They can come get me if they want to, but they may not like it. But I'm a fighter too. I'm a fighter. I do not go down easy. And my mom used to tell me all the time, you may get into a fight and you may lose. She said, but make sure that you are biting and kicking. You make sure you get some licks in there.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, and I don't want to become the angry black man, but this pushed me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie to you. This pushed me.
Yeah.
I had to take a moment to do the whole turning off the TV,
Yeah. Gotta shut it off and
regroup.
mm-hmm.
And I come from where I was taught about the sit-ins. How funny is it that I was watching something with my mom one night? She's visiting and she said, think we're going back to that? The gentleman that went in the Woolworths thing and did the whole sit-in thing, and they got coffee and everything thrown at him, poured on him and everything. And she turned to me, she said, you think we're going back to that? And I said, don't do that. I said, because that's exactly what's probably going to happen. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've heard of Poor Man's Campaign. I've been to a couple of their meetings. Reverend William Barber is trying to be on top of things. I'm hoping that we don't go back to the whole civil rights thing.
Yeah.
I hope we don't.
Yeah. I hope we don't either. I'm just gonna continue to put in the work, continue to spread the message, and do what I can, and not stay silent. I think if anyone is wondering, like, what can you do now? I feel like it is time to just speak up. Like I said, call your legislators, be heard, let them know where you stand and how do you advocate and how you want them to see them represented, represent you. And yeah, that's what we got to do right now.
It's scary, but we're getting support from other states.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys just went through Facebook. I went through Facebook late last night, and noticed that some of my BTAC family, they're posting and putting Kansas in their posts. And there's other people that are like going, what just happened?
Yeah. Kansas is on the map now, for sure.
Well,
yep.
If we didn't know it, they know it now.
Yeah.
They know it now. They absolutely know it now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna still keep fighting for you too, Luke. Like I said, you're not in this alone. I know a lot of people around me too are doing the same thing I am, speaking up in spaces and doing what we can. So yeah, stay grounded.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, stay grounded. And then I just have one final question, and it's what would you like to leave the audience with today? We've talked about a lot of stuff, but what's the one thing that you would like to leave the audience with today?
There's a couple of things I want to leave the audience with today. And one of them is, without struggle, there's no progress. Frederick Douglass. And the second thing that I want to leave them with, this it's on my signature for my text messages, but it got me. So being broke is temporary, but being poor and being in poverty is a condition. DJ Quick, he said that. I don't know if you watch R&B Money or not. Hey, Tank and Jay Valentine got something going on. They're showing respect to the R&B and the rap legends. It's amazing. But I've been listening to DJ Quick since I don't know when. And when he looked at Tank and said, I'll say it twice, I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing. That's mind-blowing.
It is the system. They want to keep you there, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to make just enough to stay on it. If you make it dime above, you're still there, but you can't get nothing else. So they want you to stay down
That
below.
is where I'm at. That is where I'm at. I've got my case managers fighting for me. DCF was talking about, oh, you make too much and we can't give you this, that, and the other. And what they don't know is the community takes care of me. The community takes care of me. There's been benefit shows done so I can get stuff done for the house. The community has taken care of me. I get food. Sometimes people leave boxes or whatever on my porch, but they are making sure that I'm okay and that I eat. And that's the most amazing thing
Mm-hmm.
that people don't understand about the LGBTQ community. We take care of each other.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. And that's what we got to continue to do. I think throughout this conversation, I've really enjoyed it, Luke. I enjoyed talking to you. I would like to let the audience leave on this note. And it's just like, we can't leave those behind when we're in the same community. I feel like it is important for us to stand with one another, fight for each other, and make sure we're out here and heard. All of us. All of us matter.
Yeah.
If they come for one, they're coming for all. And
Absolutely.
be okay with standing your ground. You know, we've talked about that throughout this podcast. It's just plant your feet and find something. It doesn't have to be the whole mile. It can just be within your friend group. Like if you hear them talking
Mm-hmm.
bad or saying things that are out of pocket and correcting them, it can be as small as that. It can be as small as like if you see someone that is in a situation that you can help out.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's other ways that you can help and be an ally than to go out there and make a video or go out there and call your legislators or go to the capitals. Like there's other ways that you can advocate, and don't look past those. Like it
Yeah.
can be
Yeah.
fearful. Not everyone can be on the front lines and doing things. Like that's understandable. Like we both talked about in this podcast, it is a scary feeling. So for us to ask you to do it, like we understand if you're not there yet, but there is other ways that you can help the community and advocate, and also just like find your community. Like we talked about
Yeah.
BTAC. If it's
Uh-huh.
something that you want to get involved in, I'll make sure that that link is below in the bio that you can find that information. If it's other
Okay.
communities, that it doesn't have to be in your hometown either. Like it can be communities outside that you can reach out to that still help you,
Yeah.
whether you're in a place that you cannot get out. So don't think that your resources are limited to where you live. Get
Right.
out there, search it. The internet's it's out. The internet's for everybody, you know. Like just get out there, do
Yeah.
some research, find your resources that you're able to be okay and true with yourself. Yeah. So keep working. Like I said, we're gonna keep fighting, and we're here in Kansas. It's a troubled time now, but we will get through. We will get through.
Yeah. I'm hoping that the two trans guys that are suing are going to. I'm trying to figure out who they are so that I can give them some support. But
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of people that want to donate and are messaging me going, "Okay, where do we donate?" I'm like, I'm okay." Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
so there are people and these are out of state people. They just want to help in some type of way, and I have no idea where to direct them.
Mm-hmm. I heard
You know
that.
what I mean?
Yeah, the ACLU is the one that I've seen that is suing. So I don't know
Okay.
um, if there's someone specific, but I just know the ACLU. Like the message that I got, it was just like we are suing after everything that's happened. So we will see. Like the ACLU, they've been having our back. Like,
Yeah, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. And listen, I say it all the time, but them to legal ain't no joke either.
yeah, yep, yep,
And I just need Kansas to understand that there are people here who live, pay taxes, and go to work just like everybody else. You know what I mean? And there are people that are literally this was the straw on the camel's back, but they're packing up and they're leaving. They're like, no, dude, gotta go.
yeah,
Can't stay.
yeah.
And I understand. I can't be mad.
Right, yeah,
I can't be mad.
for sure.
You know.
Yeah,
And our governor's had our back. kept her word. They had her back.
Yeah.
They just keep
Yeah. It's crazy
going.
how that works, right? Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
like I don't know. I didn't really get into politics and understand like all the systems and stuff until like I got older and started voting, and then I'm like, okay. When people say their vote don't count, I'm like, that's a crock of shit. Like
Right.
it's a crock of shit. It's just
Mm.
there's your vote does matter, and that's another thing. If you're able to vote, you need to vote. Like this is why we vote. This is why we vote. There's layers to this, and in order for us to get what we need out of this, we need to start voting. We need to start voting.
And my deal has been, I tell people, I don't care how you vote, just vote.
Right.
I mean,
I
I
do
can't just,
care,
you know what I mean?
but as long as you're voting, vote. Especially when I see people of color that are not voting. There's too many people that fought for us to have our voices heard. You need to vote.
Now you sound like me. I say that all the time. It's like, what those people went through, and they were
Mhm.
getting hit in the head with bricks and sticks and
Getting spit on, and it's
yeah.
please go vote. Please go vote.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that we can get some more Democratic people
Yeah.
candidates in, because I don't really see that happening a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna still fight. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode. I know we talked about a lot. I'm curious what your thoughts are. First, call yourself out. If you don't vote, be brave enough to say it in the comments that you don't vote, so I can go in on you. Please, please. Second, like I said, just do what you can to advocate. And say in the comments, like, how are you advocating? What are ways that you advocate that may be okay for you and okay for others, but it's just not, you don't want to put yourself out there. Like, what are other ways? If you guys know of any resources, please let us know. I'm always looking for other resources, ways for the community to connect. So if you know something that I don't know, which I don't know a lot, so please,
the Lyft people are providing rides, though, discounted rides. I
yes,
want to make sure I said that.
yes, Lyft is doing that. I did see that they are discounting rides for those that are having their IDs changed because it is currently invalid. So you
Yeah.
could be getting a ticket and going to jail because you're driving. So yeah, just any resources that you may have for those in Kansas right now that you can think of, please share them. Yeah, so we can get the message out. But thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Kueen Talk. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, and leave those comments. I'm really curious about what you guys what you guys thought on this episode. And Luke, thank you so much again for being here.
Anytime.
Yes, I'm gonna have you back. I'm gonna have you back.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, we gonna
I
have you
know.
back.
I'm gonna be ready. That's
Yeah.
why I'm gonna leave the little thing on my phone. I'm like, no, I'm not deleting it. I'm gonna leave it because I know
Yes, yes.
we're gonna have another talk.
Yes, we will. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And yeah, as
Okay.
always, family, friends, strangers, love and be nice.